Every era, it has that one ghost story, the one that gets right to the heart of what everyone's afraid of. And tonight, we're gonna talk about the one with the hook.
You know how this goes, right? It's late. You've got two teenagers parked in a car way, way out on some lonely lover's lane, far from any prying eyes.
Then, all of a sudden, the music just cuts out. A voice crackles over the radio with this chilling bulletin. A dangerous maniac has just escaped from the asylum nearby. And get this, he's easy to spot because he's got a sharp steel hook where his right hand should be. So the girl, she's starting to get nervous. She wants to get out of there. But the boy, he's trying to act all brave, tells her it's nothing. But then, they both hear it. This faint, rhythmic sound coming from right outside her door. A kind of metallic scratching. Scrape, scrape, scrape. And that's it. Any sense of being brave is just gone. He slams the car into gear and just peels out of there, tires squealing on the gravel, leaving that darkness and that terrifying sound way behind them. So he drives her home. She's safe, right? He gets out, walks around to open her door like a gentleman, and then he just freezes. He sees it. Dangling from the passenger side door handle is a bloody steel hook. Okay, let's break this down. That story, in some form, has been scaring people for over 70 years. But why? What makes it so immortal? It's way more than just a simple jump scare. To really understand the hook, you have to understand the world it came from. See, this legend wasn't born in some spooky old castle in Europe. Nope, it was born in the backseat of a Chevy. It is a direct product of all the anxieties swirling around in post-war America. And this is where the context is absolutely everything. Think about the 1950s. For the first time ever, teenagers had cars. That meant they had freedom. And with that freedom, they created these lovers' lanes, these private little worlds far away from their parents, and you can bet this created a huge wave of anxiety for adults wondering, what are our kids really doing out there? And this really gets to the core of it all. The Hook Man, he was never just some random monster. He was a symbol. This legend became this incredibly powerful cautionary tale. It was an instrument of social control. The message from the adults to the teens was crystal clear. If you go too far, if you hang out in these dark places, if you disobey, well, there's a terrible punishment just waiting for you. But look, a heavy-handed message isn't enough to make a story last for generations. The real genius of this legend, it lies in how the story's built, specifically in one absolutely brilliant and terrifying detail. So the early versions of this story, they were kind of vague. Just a rumor about some killer wandering around in the woods? Spooky? Yeah, sure, but not something that sticks with you. The story only became the classic we know today when it evolved to include that final, physical piece of proof. And that is the power of the twist. That hook on the door handle, it's not just a scary picture in your mind, it's evidence. It's the proof that the killer was real, that he was right there, literally inches away from them the whole time. It just yanks the story out of the world of make-believe and slams it right into your reality. So you've got this perfect social message, you've got a killer plot twist, and just like that, the legend was ready to become this permanent piece of American culture, something pretty much every kid would eventually hear. And for millions of us who grew up in the 80s and 90s, this is how we first met the Hook Man. The author Alvin Schwartz put the story in his iconic book series, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, and it basically became a rite of passage. You pair that story with those unbelievably haunting illustrations by Stephen Gammell, and yeah, it was burned into our brains forever. But the legend's influence didn't just stop with books. Oh no. In fact, you could make a really strong case that this simple little campfire story basically handed us the entire blueprint for one of the biggest subgenres in modern horror. Just think about it. You got an isolated location, like a lover's lane or a summer camp? Check. You got teenagers, well, breaking the rules, doing things they shouldn't be? Check. And you got a mysterious, seemingly unstoppable killer who punishes them with a signature weapon? Big check. That, my friends, is the slasher formula, and it all started right here. You can literally trace this story's DNA through the whole genre. John Carpenter's Halloween totally perfected that idea of a faceless boogeyman punishing suburban teens. But the most direct line? Of course, It's gotta be 1997's I Know What You Did Last Summer. The killer is literally a fisherman who uses a massive hook to stalk the kids who wronged him. The legend had come full circle. So when you really look back at the hook, you realize you're not just looking at some old ghost story. You're actually looking at a time capsule. What it really shows us is how a society's deep-seated fears about freedom, about sexuality, about losing control, how all that stuff gets boiled down and transformed into the nightmares we tell each other in the dark.
The specific fears of the 1950s might feel a little dated now, but that core idea, the idea that danger can be just inches away and that our secrets can have real consequences, that's timeless. It really makes you wonder, right? What urban legend from when you were a kid still gets under your skin?